What do you say when there are no words? Feel a song that's never been heard. How do you know when you hear the call? What do you do when you've done it all? Cannonball, cannonball, cannonball. It's not what you do, it's how you do. Be anything you want to be. It's not what you got, it's how you use it. You be you and I'll be me, it's just a matter of style. You can't fake it, mile after mile, feeling free. If you got the soul, you can make it. Move 'em out, let 'em roll, from sea to shining sea. Ball, cannonball. What do you do when the mountain is there? How do you answer the challenging day? And when your back's against the wall, what do you do when you've done it all? Cannonball, cannonball, cannonball. It's not what you do, it's how you do. Be anything you want to be. It's not what you got, it's how you use it. You be you and I'll be me, it's just a matter of style. You can't fake it, mile after mile, feeling free. If you got the soul, you can make it. Move 'em out, let 'em roll, from sea to shining sea.
Yes, indeed. Good afternoon, morning, ladies and gentlemen, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, brothers and sisters. This is the AOR Hype Energy F1 2017 Season 15 Round Number 1 here in Australia. My name is King-Kodiak and I will be your commentator throughout this evening's race, and you might tell I'm a little bit excited to be back in the box once again. Joining me in the commentary box is the faithful companion from last season. As you can see on the board, it is Mr. Hamish Sopwith.
Yes, good evening everyone, wherever you are in the world. This is round 1 in Australia. It's the most hyped season I think we've had, even more than last time. We have a lot of returning drivers. We have a couple of drivers not here. Where's Topa, for example? But we have the likes of Brendan Lee starting from the get-go, and Marek as well. We have last year's champion, Formula Danny. Where's he going to finish after all of this? So this is going to be a very exciting, and I can't wait to see what Wycombe's can do. I'm just praying he's fixed the issues from last season, because that was such a shame, wasn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And he still had the incredible distinction, despite the fact that he only did, I believe it was 6 rounds last season. He still scored the most points for his team. Now, unfortunately, we've had a bit of a server problem to start with, so we are just getting that back up and running once again. So apologies for the delay there, and so we are just getting, as you can hear me clicking around, we apologise for the delay. We will get that back up and running as soon as we can. Technical glitches do happen, sadly, from time to time. So, as Hamish has alluded, we have got a fabulous array of drivers and some interesting pairings as well. So ACR Timp, he was with us last season. He was third in the championship. He goes on alongside Brendan Lee, a man who needs very little description. We have, that's in the Mercedes pairing for Red Bull. We have Non-Runner, who was also with us. He was in a Renault last time with Graham Carroll, esports attendee. Thoroughly enjoyed watching him. We have two dominant forces from the PS4 side, Carrix and Aresi in the Ferrari pair. For Force India, it is Marcel Kiva and one of three Veloci drivers, Dawn Eden. Apologies if I am getting these names not quite correct, but I am doing my best nonetheless. Now, in the Williams pair, we have Carl Hamilton 44 and Bono Hewis. So, for those unfamiliar with the name, he was the winner of the Vegas esports race. McLaren, we have ACR Failer, who returns to us, and as previously mentioned, Wycombs. And you can hear the ticking down once again. We've got all 20 drivers back, and they've gone way to get going. Now, we have got in Toro Rosso, we have ACR Raven and another new guy to us. Forgotten what S stands for now. It is Lebert, who's actually with us, S. Lebert. In-house, we have Fabrizio Donoso and VP Steve. It is how it's pronounced. It is a slightly unusual name. For Renault, we have got VP Max and VP Marek, two returning drivers. And last but certainly not least, in the Sauber pair, it is Veloci Formula Danny, our current champion, along with the F2 champion from last season, Veloci Photon. And we are now going into the field. Let us get down to the track then. We all know that sequence. Are you still in the server, Mr. Hamish?
I absolutely am. I know I either had a disconnect or I was part of a mass disconnect last time. But all seems good. I'm so excited to see what some of these drivers can do. Last year's pole time was set by Formula Danny, and it was 1 minute 21.1. We have to assume that is a very quick time, but from my experience in F1 racing, I tend to find that in split one from season to season on the same game, you're often improved by as much as 4/10 of the second. So I'm fascinated to see if we can get a sub 20.
I can see movement in the Mercedes garage. Looks like both of the Mercs looking to get going. Brendan Lee has left his garage along with one of the Red Bulls. Both of the Mercs have come out. And there is Wycombs in the McLaren. Out he comes over. Look at that. No one is hanging around to get onto the track. Everybody is on the ultra soft tyres. It looks like everybody is getting on the hype train. Let's get those anecdotes going. They've been going for several weeks since we announced our new sponsorship with Hype Energy Drinks. Of course, the hashtag hype is been going utterly crazy. But let's keep it going as we have approximately half the field, or no, I'd say 2/3 of the field have come out to start their outlaps. Let's on board with Wycombs.
I imagine a lot of the drivers. Sorry, Kodiak. I imagine a lot of drivers will be coming out. We've just seen Failer come out, Carl Hamilton. We've seen Bono Hootis. That's how you say. Who is? That's how you say it. Donoso has just came out as we speak. Graham Carroll, he is coming out. He's a super quick driver, and so has ACR Raven from last season. So every driver out on track.
Fabulous. So a very busy track, but there's going to be a lot of action throughout the field. I do get the feeling, though, we're not going to see just the same few names at the top. With the kind of quality of field that we've got, I don't think it's going to be too much to ask that we're going to see quite a few different winners throughout the season. Here's one of our new guys, S. Lebert, in the Toro Rosso. He's taking it easy as he's coming towards the last couple of turns. He should be winding up. I think he's actually first to get out on track. Let's follow him through then as he comes around the last turn, gets on the gas, gets the DRS open as quickly as he can. Long straight down to turns 1 and 2. Jones and Brabham get over to the left hand side, down a few gears, catch the apex quite nicely, keep it on the AstroTurf, not too bad. Now hard on the gas once again, down to turn number 3. This is where Fernando Alonso very famously flips his car. Turn 4. Nice and simple. Get over to the left-hand side for the fast turn 5. Along Albert Park Drive to turns 6 and 7 in short succession. There we go. Very easy to overcook it and lose a surprising amount of time. Through 8. Long right-hander. Now 9 and 10. Very short succession. Clark and Fittipaldi. Little bit of a locker, but not too bad. Oh, he's overcooked the gas, and that's ruined that particular lap. But he's going to press on nonetheless. The long left-hander. That is how easy it is just to push that little bit too hard and throw the whole lap away. And his Roger Lebert has backed out of that completely.
Yeah, it's not brilliant when you ruin your first qualifying lap. I often had it. A lot of drivers use this as their banker lap. These drivers are so fast, and their concentration levels are so high up and through the roof that they are literally testing the limits at every single corner. So the chances of a mistake in qualifying is very high. We saw a lot of drivers make mistakes last year in qualifying. This year, I'm sure, will be no different. And it looks like we've already got a time on the board of 26, which, it's a 20.9, and already, wow, Brendan Lee has beat that 21-1 set by Danny last season. Good job from him.
Absolutely, he's not wasting time to assert his dominance onto the board with I can't pronounce this correctly, I'm afraid, but there it is. That's actually ACR Timp. I can't even see the full name. His surname is quite long, but that is ACR Timp from last season. Oh, look at that. That's one of our new names. It's VP Steve that's gone to the board just 22 thousandths of a second behind. And that's actually... No, not that one. Where are we? That's the one I'm looking for. There we go. 22 thousandths of a second separates Brendan Lee and VP Steve at the top. Then Veloci Photon, last season's F2 champion, getting into third position as well. Oh, Graham Carroll gets into fifth place then of the Red Bull, just half a second down. Oh, Donoso, very nice, 120.746. Terrible luck last season in the Force India. He joined us late in the season and sadly was unable to score a point, but that's a bit of a statement of intent.
Absolutely. I really hope he can put together a good season. A lot of time we did see his qualifying pace was quite good from memory, and this is all from memory. He had three top three starts last season for races he did do. So we know he has a pace. Do you think he's been working on his racecraft on the break from season 14 to 15? That's what I would have been doing if I was him. But, he's obviously a very quick driver. He got P2 in the esports in Abu Dhabi last time. So he clearly has a pace.
Absolutely, and Brendan Lee is already stuck another lap on the board, just 62 thousandths down from that Donoso has put on. Very nicely done indeed. It's been a while that I'm actually having to remind myself how the controls work. Again, apologies for that. There he is, a 120.808 for Brendan Lee as he will come back to the pits and get another set of boots on. He's just revving the life out of that for some reason. This is how it appears to us. So yeah, quite a few very interesting laps coming on the board. There's Veloci Formula Danny, our current champion in the Sauber, currently fourth position, just 2/10 down. So as we saw, particularly towards the tail end of last season, the top few positions getting very, very close on the qualifying times, and we still have 5 and 3/4 minutes to go.
Yes, so drivers will be getting, like you say, coming in. They'll be coming out again very shortly, and yeah, this will be the lap they want to get on pole. I mean, we can see quite a large variation from 4th to 5th. Last season, me and Kodiak got accustomed to the top 10 finishing within about, a second. I mean, you can see, but it still is within a second. We've got the top 15 within a second. But we came accustomed to the drivers being so close in qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is one of the Force Indias with Veloci Dorniden. Again, apologies if I'm not getting the name quite right. He's yet to put a lap on the board, along with Carax, Marcel Kiefer, Carl Hamilton, and Marek. Leaving it a little bit later to get their times on the board, which is absolutely fine. But of course, for those that prefer to get a banker lap in, and the vast majority of people do, it is taking a little bit more of a risk. But we'll see what they're able to do. Veloci Photon also coming out for another go. So he's 4/10 down from the leader at the moment, with that 121.199. This is what so picking up from where S. Lebert unfortunately was unable to continue his lap. So this is coming through turns 11 and 12. This is rather an out lap, so Dorniden is not pushing too hard. Down towards 13, Ascari. So he will be heavy on the brakes. Just catch the apex, let it wander over to the left. Then for 14, which is normally very much faster right-hander than that. And then the last couple of turns. So now Dorniden just making sure he gets his car set up for the all-important final turn, turn 16. Make sure... Oh, and already wandering onto the grass, pushing a little bit too hard. But wouldn't have lost him too much time, but it's just enough that kind of upsets your balance, and hopefully he can settle himself down and get a decent lap on the board.
Yes, hopefully. You don't want to be throwing away too many laps. I mean, you know, with 3 minutes to go, you really do start to run out of time. And also, obviously, for those of you who are new and don't know, the tyres they qualify on now, providing they're in the top 10, are their race start tyres. So if you've done an out lap, qualifying lap, and in lap, that means they're already 3 laps old. So you don't want to be messing up another lap, because that means you end up having to do an extra lap. That means you have to do 2 flying laps, which destroys the tyres even more for a race.
Right. We're looking at Velocity Photon in the second Sauber, 6th position with that 121.199. Look how close he is to Failer then. That is, well, what is that, 15 thousandths of a second, if that, between 5th and 6th. So that is incredibly close. He's now at full crank coming through turns 11 and 12. It's very easy to wander onto that gravel on the exit of turn 12. Keeps it nice and tidy down towards 13. Just thinking, actually, it feels like an age since we've been here before. Of course, it was quite a number of months ago, but it's always a wonderful opportunity to commentate on these amazing drivers. Oh, a little bit tail happy on the exit of turn 15, but managed to keep it on the road. Does Photon improve? Answer is... He does, up to second. Oh, look at that. 11 thousandths of a second. Fabulous lap.
Yeah, I mean, Brendan Lee has just came out of the pits now. He's got 2 minutes to get an outlap. However, he is behind one of the...
Williams pair.
Behind one of the Williams, yes, you're right. So he needs to build himself a bit of a gap and not hold up people behind him, because doubtless there's going to be people coming behind him pretty quickly who are on fly laps. And I think I see someone now, and that is Formula Danny.
Formula Danny, there he is, currently in 5th. There's 2 tenths down. There he is in the Sauber. He's actually catching, I think that's Car Hamilton that he's behind. Oh no, Car Hamilton, beg your pardon, is on the start finish straight. It's the other Williams. Car Hamilton has got a time on the board, but it's obviously 7 seconds down, so not particularly representative at this point in time. Veloci Formula Danny looking to get his championship defense off to a good start, and looks like everybody is going to be out on track once again for the final showdown of this qualifying session. Oh dear, that was a little bit too much on the exit of 13. Formula Danny has completely backed off. If he has enough fuel, he might. His fuel light's not on, so he might just slow it down a bit. And again, he's winding up for another go, but this is very much last. Oh, and again, he just touches the grass on the exit of turn 16. So Formula Danny out again, and Veloci Photon in the pits. His day is done. Current pole sitter is still Fabrizio Donoso. Here he is in the Haas. He's just coming along that long left-hander heading towards 11 and 12. So like you said, let's hope that... Oh, that's a little bit too much. And we've lost... So he's spun it, but thankfully he's ghosted. And non-runner has retired from the session. He's had a problem early on the lap. That's on the way down to turn 3. So he will start no higher than 8th for that 121.7, which is still only 3 tenths off the top.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I've just noticed that. But what is it? The top 18 are within 1 second. Will we have potentially even more? And Formula Danny has stopped. I don't know if you said that.
He's retired from the session.
Is on a hot lap, so let's see what he can do. He is a bit quicker than he was last lap, only just, but it doesn't need a lot for him to jump a significant amount on the grid. If he can gain a couple of attempts, that'll put him up to around P14. So let's see what he can do. Coming through the high-speed sections of 11 and 12, turn 13, you've got this. This is a fantastic overtaking opportunity. You can take a lot of speed in here. It's a 4th gear corner. He gets it turned in nicely. Again, turn 14 is a very high-speed corner. I use 5th, but Wycom's the Pro is using 6th. Into the last couple of corners, we see so many drivers locking up there. It's short shifting around the final corner. DRS wide open, flooring it to the line. It is going to be a 1 minute 21.0, and that is very solid from Wycom's. That's put in P11.
A P11, and that's only 3/10 away. Oh, hello, Brendan Lee! 120.4 has stuck it on the pole. My God, talk about leaving it to the last minute. Everybody else had either retired or completed their last. Brendan was literally the last man on track, and has just bunged in a 120.4 to put that Mercedes on the front row alongside Fabrizio Donoso. Not the first time those two have started alongside one another, and it was fireworks then.
Yeah, a good lap from Brendan Lee. Very solid indeed. I did mention that, he was obviously out quite late and he had some upcoming traffic behind him. He had to get out of the way, so he's lucky he probably even was able to start that lap. But yeah, what a grid. Brendan Lee is on pole. Fabrizio Donoso is on second for Haas. He's going to be very pleased with that. Fortin, that is Formula Danny's teammate, is in third. ACR is Timp.
Yep.
Is in P4. We have one of the PS4 guys in fifth. VP Max is in sixth. Steve in seventh. Danny in eighth. Marcel Kiefer in nine. And non-runner, decent performance from him. He is in P10.
Yeah, rounds out the top 10 indeed. Right. Without further ado then, let us head down to the field. And what a surprise in Melbourne. It is bone dry and burning hot. I highly doubt that we're going to be seeing any rain. It does rain in Australia, of course, but it's highly unlikely. We used to get...
Yeah, it's not the chances that we get in like China and race tracks like that. But yeah, like you said, we have had rain here in the past, but we definitely didn't last season. It was a dry race. I'm expecting a one-stop here. Pitting from lap 8 to 13, probably an ultra soft to soft. Unless you're outside the top 10, you might decide to soft to ultra soft. But you won't see the drivers, unless they have issues doing any more than one stops. The drivers are just getting ready now, finalising their setup, which is why you can see the little loading symbol on the left-hand side.
Indeed. Right, ready or not, we are going down to the grid in 3 seconds. So there's make their last adjustments. They will be forced out of the grid. Here we go then. The 5 lights. We've got Brendan Lee on 1, Photon on 2, and away we go. That should be Fabrizio Donoso. Oh, look at that. Look how early the Mercedes had to go across to cover second. And that's Donoso having a look on the inside. Doesn't quite get it done. And nicely done then. Brendan Lee hanging on to that first spot that has... Oh, we've got trouble already. I'm trying to identify who it is. I wonder if...
It is...
it's one of the Force Indias.
It is.
I don't know. I'm trying to identify which of the Force Indias.
Dawn. What's his name? Dawn.
Dawn Eden. Felice Dawn Eden. It is indeed. And unfortunately, the timing board is not quite right. That'll hopefully catch up with us a little bit. A terrible, terrible start then for the first race of this season for the first Force India. But look at this, and you can see one of the Force Indias. I think that's Carrick's. It is indeed. The top 5 separated by very, very little. He's all over the back of Veloci Photon, who has lost, I believe, positions at the start. Get the position change. Yep, Photon and Tim have swapped position. Donoso is staying nailed to the back of Brendan Lee at the moment, but so much can happen. We've already had incidents with Veloci Dunedin.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. There's already a little bit of a gap from non-runner to Y-Coms. It's about 3 seconds at the moment. So it'll be interesting if you can make that time back up. It's very unusual at the start of a race that you would lose 3 seconds in a single lap. So you can only assume that the train behind Y-Coms obviously all hit a little bit of trouble earlier on. Brendan Lee obviously getting fastest lap.
We've got people in the pits already.
Oh, that's interesting. So do you think that's can only be front wings?
Yeah, it's damage. Failer, Graham, Carroll, Carr Hamilton, Raven, S. LeBert have all come in at the same time to get their front wings changed. So a lot of broken carbon fibre at the tail end of the field. As Brendan Lee is now beginning to open up a bit of a gap at the front. 8/10 almost is his gap to Fabrizio Donoso. But Donoso can't just concentrate on attack. Look at that train. Goodness me. Every single car right the way down. Actually, it's all the top 10. All currently have DRS of the car in front when DRS is activated. Of course, assuming they keep those gaps until the next DRS detection. And look at that. That's 6 cars all came in for new front wings.
Well, I actually counted 7 Kodiak.
It was 7? Oh, goodness.
That's quite a significant chunk, especially on a 20-man grid.
Oh, you're right. It was 7, yeah. 14th downwards.
Donoso has closed in on Brendan Lee. I was a bit concerned that he was just going to run away, but he hasn't.
Oh!
He's actually closed in.
Sorry there, Hamish. We saw Carrick have a massive tank slapper there. Managed to hold it, keeps it out of the wall, but he's got Marcel Kiefer in the Force India right directly behind him, and he's still maintaining the pressure on Velocity Photon. Now is when we're going to start seeing and Fabrizio Donoso this time getting his name on the fastest lap board. He's just about staying within DRS range as VP Steve comes into the pits. Has he had a front wing? Yes. Oh, he's completely missing his front wing in the Haas. So more dead carbon fibre on this field. Goodness me!
Wow. Well, this is really going to be a huge advantage for anyone above P12, and that's already a good chance of points. Wow, we've got VP Marek right on the back of Wycombe's in the McLaren. He's pretty much touching the gearbox. This isn't really an overtaking area in the sort of 7, 8, 9 complex, but is Marek going to be able to make a move, stick Wycombe's one a little bit wide? He's got a good amount of slipstream. Is he going to look onto the inside? No, he isn't. He's going to play it safe. Use the slipstream from 10 to 11 to try and make a move sticking to 13, I would have thought.
Wycombe is on the harder tyre though. He opted to start on the soft tyres, so he will of course fall back from those that are running the ultra soft first, and because he has got himself almost 5 seconds or so between himself and non-runner in 9th position. Ooh, we see Fabrizio Donoso just run a little bit wide on the exit of turn 14, but he is staying within that all-important DRS range of Brendan Lee, and ACR Team is right there as well, so those 3 cars almost equidistant apart. Velocity Photon has fallen off the back a little bit of ACR Tim, but still plenty of distance to go. It's a 50% race in this season. He has got Carricks all over his tail. Sadly for Carricks, his teammate Aresi is down in 19th. He was one of the ones that had to come in early for a new front wing. He will look to press on and try and close that gap down. Well, indeed, the back 7 or 8 will want to look to close that all down. But it's good to see that those that have migrated across from other platforms are straight in and straight on with the job.
Yeah, who's just overtook Wycombe's. In fact, Wycombe's lost a couple of positions. He lost a position to Marek and a position to Huis. So he is now in P12. Not surprising, though, on those soft compound tyres. But they will last a considerable amount of race distance. Probably, I'm guessing 20 laps. Easily.
We've just lost Graham Carroll. Oh dear, he's actually disconnected, so his car will be ghosted. There it is, he's in 15th position in the Red Bull, so hopefully he'll be able to resolve his particular issues, but if not, then that's sadly the first victim we've had of this particular race. Oh, again, Fabrizio Donoso just running a little bit too wide there, but is pressing on and is keeping the pressure on Brendan Lee. We were accustomed to seeing him get to the front and just run, but he's not had that luxury this time. And again, looking back at our F2 champion, Velocity Photon, still doing a good job there in 4th. Does look like, though, Carricks is shaping up for a move. Is he going to try something into turn 1? On board with the Ferrari. He's gaining, doesn't quite get close enough, though. It's quite a dangerous place to try a turn. You have got to really rely on a mistake from the person you're chasing. It's not a big braking zone into turn 1, so there are other opportunities, but it's a very difficult track to overtake on.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, turn 1, because it's so high, such a high speed. Oh, we've already got a penalty on the board.
That's for Dunedin.
But yes, like you said, turn 1's difficult because if you go wide on either side of the track, the chance of spinning is very, very high. I've done it all loads, and you'll see drivers do the same in qualifying. We actually saw Valtteri Bottas a few weeks ago do that in the real life F1. It is exactly the same for these drivers, and it looks like Marcel Kiefer is going to have a run on Carricks here. He had a quite bizarre line going from turn 9-10. Is he going to be close enough? Maybe into 13. He's got a good run. He's got slipstream. He's in rich mixture as well. Is he going to look to the inside? No, he isn't. He's going to stay behind for another few corners.
But again, it's all about maintaining the pressure on the car ahead. And you can see still, we're just about to begin lap 6 and still got this many clumps of cars together. And again, you can see the Dark Force India of Marcel Kiefer getting very, very close to Carricks. Now, Carricks has got DRS, but look how early the Ferrari has felt the need to go defensive. He knows Marcel Kiefer is gaining. Is he going to try and move on the inside? No. Carricks able to just utilise the DRS for defence. Oh, yeah. Carricks had he had an okay run through turn 2, but it wasn't great. Marcel couldn't quite use the pace. He's having a look on the inside of 3. He's forced Carrick's wide. Is he going to go try and alongside at 4? Carrick's is defending for everything he's got. Again, forcing Carrick's out of position. And oh my goodness, be well defended by the PS4 veteran.
Yeah, and all this is happening ahead of last year's champion, Formula Danny. He's got the best seat in the house, and he's going to have a look at Marcel Kiefer around the outside. Is it going to be around outside turn 10? No, it isn't. He's going to get a good run. Whereas Danny, he decided to do a bit of a switchback, and Marcel, that was a bit cheeky, but it is allowed. He didn't completely block his block him, but that was pretty edgy.
That was close, but you actually, to be fair to Marcel, he committed to that defence very, very early. It wasn't a mistake. He knew exactly what Veloci Danny was going to try. And he's gone very wide though. That's put Formula Danny straight back on his case. So he did manage to get a little bit of a gap on the exit of turn 12. It has all gone to nothing though, as he's straight back under pressure by the champion, now coming through the final turn. Can the Sauber do anything about it? Marcel Kiefer does not have DRS on Carrick's. That's enabled Carrick's to get off into the distance. Can Veloci Danny do anything about it? Having a look at the inside, no. He opts not to do anything into turn 1. Still plenty of race to go. And I think there's a certain element of caution going on, especially now the ultra soft tyres are going to start to lose their edge. They're not going to be quite as grippy as we saw. Mind you saying that, looking on the inside, coming into turn 3, and unfortunately couldn't quite make it work that time, and not too far behind. That's VP Max and Non-Runner. They're having their battle, but they're closing in on this pair, so it's going on all over the place.
Yeah, these ultra soft tyres will last well until about lap 8, but like I said earlier, you can probably stretch that 14 if you're really, really lucky. Non-Runner, like you said, right on the back of VP Max. Although Non-Runner got a pretty poor exit, Donoso, he's within that 7/10 of a second of Brendan Lee. He's not trying anything overly optimistic at the moment, although they've got so much fuel. Brendan has 3.6 laps of fuel, and Donoso has 2 laps.
Over
so
2 laps, yeah.
They've really put their fuel loads quite high, and it looks like the leaders have both came in.
He did.
Back off the pit stops.
Absolutely. I think Tim has chosen to continue. The Mercedes has hit his marks. And the Haas has also got quite a long way down. Oh no, Marcel Kiefer couldn't slow it down enough. That's going to be a 5-second penalty. So a set of softs going on for the Haas. Oh, he was held. He couldn't get the launch that he needed because there was a Mercedes in the way, which is all part of the game. It does look like, exactly as you said earlier, Hamish, it looks like they're going for the one stop. They're going onto the soft tyres. That should carry them through to the end of the race, assuming, of course, they don't have a puncture or any particular problem. 10th and 11th, respectively. But Brenda definitely gained that time around. It's now 2.3 between the pair of them.
Yep, so what other exciting battles have we got on track? In fact, it seems fairly spread out for the time being, apart from P18 and 19. Where did Brandon come out?
Well, the 10th and 11th was where Brendan Lee and Fabrizio Donoso came out. There is a Resi with S. Lebert in very, very... I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it. He is from France, hence why I'm using that accent. Again, apologies if I am getting that incorrect. We do have this battle that, or this group of cars here, Veloci, Formula Danny, VP Max and Non-Runner are still fairly close together. There is Carrick. He's well and truly out of DRS range of these guys, but it does look like, I would imagine, they're going to be coming in, and lo and behold, I think they're all coming in at the same time. Oh no, the Sauber's actually chosen to continue. So the new top 3, Tim, Photon and Carrick, all came in. That's going to give Formula Danny the lead for the time being, with Max and Non-Runner in short succession. Looks like Marek chose to continue. Oh, Steve gets his name on the penalty board. Bono Hewis, he's continued. Wycombs, of course, has continued. He's on the harder tyre. Tim, Photon and Carrick going on to the soft tyre predictably. But don't discount the strategy of the others. Wycombs was always very good at playing the strategy game. We saw some brilliant performances from him last season, where before technical difficulties sadly denied him continuing. And battle there side by side. That's Carrick and Marcel Kiefer coming down to turn 3. Who's going to... Whoa, that's close! I think it was a little bit of impact between the two. Both of them still going, no damage, still side by side. The Ferrari's forced off, but he's continuing. No, if that sadly lost in the momentum. As Marcel Kiefer, we know, is not afraid to get his elbows out.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of you in chat are getting confused about the tyres. Why is, well, for me, is he's showing up on the ultra soft tyres. He is on the soft compound tyres. I can tell you is Brendan. He is not on the the ultra soft. We occasionally have a bug with the tyre with the tyres where it seems like they're running different tyres to what they are actually running.
Indeed, that is often the case. Marcel hasn't been in the pits yet, interesting. Non-runner, however, is coming in along with VP Marek. Is Bono coming in? No, the Williams driver is choosing to continue. Oh, Donoso is doing it again. Sadly, we saw a fair bit of that last season where Donoso pushes too hard and earns himself a penalty. He sadly has got his name on the penalty board this time. As American non-runner have gone on to their respective soft tyres. Where are they going to come out on? Champion is in the lead at the moment. Veloci Danny, I keep saying that, Veloci Formula Danny has got the lead. The Red Bull of that's non-runner, whoops, has just gone through the shot. He comes out in 11th with Marek 12th in a very short succession. But that battle with Carrix and Marcel Kiefer is not done by any stretch, and that's Veloci Photon just ahead of them. So we'll see how that was the Force India getting a little bit tail happy there, but managed to keep him out of the wall, and on they continue.
Yeah, so hopefully we don't have too many contacts in the race. Obviously, it is good fun for us to watch, but it's not too exciting when the steward's room gets filled up with incidents here and there. It looks like Carrix is closing in on Marcel Kiefer. He's 0.7 behind. Those two have been battling. It shows him on from ultra soft to soft. Ultra soft to super soft tyres. He is actually on the soft compound tyres. I don't think you can do an ultra soft super soft because the rules don't allow it. It has to be a fast compound tyre and that would be an option compound tyre and a medium compound tyre. You can't do a double option stint.
Max and Bono Hewis have come in, and it's going to be soft tyres, I would imagine, for both of those. Although interestingly, in my display showing that Max has come out on the super soft tyres. Now that I would be a little bit surprised by. Could you just double check your race director on that? Because that really surprised me that at this stage Max has come out on the super soft. But he could be going for a two-stop strategy. He could be trying something different. I think it would be the only one actually to attempt it, to be fair. Formula Danny now finds himself completely on his own.
Yes, okay. Now he just needs to set a sector, then I will be able to tell you, but it does seem quite strange.
Well, it could be, there's differences of opinions on the strategies they choose, although by and large, my understanding is the one-stop is the better way to do it. Looking at battle here for 9th position, VP Max in the Renault, non-runner in the Red Bull. Non-runner is all over the back of Max at the moment, but if they are super soft tyres on the Renault, he should be able to get those up to temperature and start running off into the distance away from the soft shod Red Bull, and that's kind of what we're seeing actually. That was 3/10 or so that Max has managed to put on non-runner in those last few corners, so he could well actually be stretching his legs. Photon again, pushing too hard, and has got himself another 3-second penalty. He is currently in 6th position, but that could drop him at least 2 positions, and Donoso gets the fastest lap. Now we're starting to see the soft tyres come good. Donoso now up to 4th position, a couple of seconds off the back of Brendan Lee, so he's still got the esports champion in his sights, and that battle could well hoss up again before the end of the race.
Yeah, I hope so. That would be really good. We didn't see Donoso and Brendan Lee go head-to-head last year at all, although they were very much head-to-head in Abu Dhabi in for the esports championship. So it's going to be absolutely fascinating how they stack up over the whole season, which, am I right in saying it's 15 races this time, Kodiak?
It is. It's a shorter season this time. The second season of a game is shorter due to the fact that the next game in sequence gets released during the season. So we make this one the shorter one, and then the new game gets evaluated, and then a full 20-race season is then implemented on the new game. That's why this one is a little bit shorter. So we're not waiting for an exceedingly long. We'd be waiting like 6 months or so. And
yes,
there is no way that I can certainly wait that long. Does Formula Danny come? No, and yes, he does. Formula Danny he's really stretched those sides a long time, but not unreasonably so. Whoa, big lockup to slow down in time, and the Sauber is going to come in, and that's going to hand the lead over to this man, Wycombs in the McLaren, although he has got Brendan Lee and Fabrizio Donoso in pretty short succession, so I'm sure he'll enjoy the lead while he has it, but I think in all fairness, those are the tyres he started on. I'm not sure he's going to be able to defend that hard from Brendan Lee and Fabrizio Donoso.
Yeah, I can, well, not confirm, but I'm fairly sure Max is on those super soft tyres. If there's a chance it's quite easy to select the wrong tyre coming into the pit, although it is fairly clear when you come into the pits. It's not like the old game. You actually have, like you do in games such as R Factor and iRacing, you have to actually physically click to the right box rather than you having to, go through a little bit of a sub-menu. However, he's got Non-Runner right behind him on the soft compound tyres, who seems to be holding up a pretty good pace. And Danny, bizarrely, he's also gone on to super soft tyres.
I am a little surprised by that, but we will see. We were surprised many times last season with driver strategy calls. We would see them and think, really, no, that can't possibly work, and magically they just storm through the field. So we will see how the driver strategy play out as we fast approach the halfway stage in this particular race. Then, as Wycombs has chosen to come in. Now that's interesting. He didn't make those soft last much longer than Formula Danny's ultra soft. So I wonder whether he's just choosing early to come out. He's going super soft.
The super softs will last, so it is a sort of logical decision from Wycombs. He had the option of going on to the ultras or the super softs. He would not, for those of you who are new, he would not have been able to do another soft compound stint, as that was his starting tyre. So he's came out in P12, which isn't too bad at all. He's going to have one of the fresher sets of tyres on the grid. And it looks like Donoso as well, a little bit off topic, is slowly closing in on Brendan Lee. It was 2.5. It is now 2 seconds.
Yes, another battle that's forming is Veloci Formula Danny on the back of Non-Runner. We saw Non-Runner trying to keep the pressure on VP Max before Max was able to get his tyres up to temperature. Has now started to open up that particular gap. Max has broken the DRS range on the Red Bull, but that Sauber is nailed to the back of that Red Bull. That's a lot of pressure the Non-Runner's got to deal with. I don't have to worry about it too much in this particular section, but it's not going to be long before Formula Danny finds his opportunity. Now coming down into 13. He's having a look on the inside already. Wow, he committed very early to that move. He made his intentions very clear. Try and block this if you will. Non-Runner had no answer to that. Stunning move by Formula Danny.
Absolutely. That is why he is the season 14 champion, the veteran of, well, although he hasn't been in AOR a very long time, it seems like he is a veteran of AOR. He now has VP Max ahead of him. Now, this will be interesting. They obviously raced against each other last season, and I would imagine Danny is going to have the slight upper hand on those fresher super soft compound tyres. Remembering Max's tyres are about 2 laps older than Danny's, so yeah, he will be a little bit slower.
We will see. So having a quick look at the fastest lap chart, that still lands with Fabrizio Donoso. He still has the fastest lap with that 1:24.4. It's not far, and Brendan Lee's not far off it with that 24.479, but no one else has done a 24.4. So that just shows you that the two at the front are really on fire at the moment. So a fair effort from them. There's still quite some way to go. Anything can happen. And normally does in the AOR leagues. Fabrizio Donoso is... Oh no, as soon as I said that, I almost commented Curso. I was just about to see, he seems to be doing pretty well at slowly chipping away at that gap, but he's just overdrived it a little bit too much into 14 and caused the tail to go out. It's going to lose him a little bit of momentum, but still just about at the 2 second mark between himself and Brendan Lee at the moment.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was on board with Donoso for a lap, and he is really pushing the car. I mean, he is Danny with the fastest lap at 23.9.
Oh, beg your pardon, Hamish. I'm doing this again. I kept cutting over the top of you last time. I could see the gap between Formula Danny and VP Max just descending quickly. He then set the fastest lap, but just at the point we cut to him, he was side by side with the Renault, and he threw it into turn 1. And of course, those tyres being very fresh, it stuck pretty well. So on goes the Sauber, now up to 7th, 2.3 seconds before he then closes down Carrick's.
Yeah, I was just saying, I was watching Donoso for a lap, and he has been the driver who has been most aggressive in terms of the walls and the limits of the track. Not limits as in going over the track limits as in fine-tuning the car so it's going exactly where he wants it to go. Although, as you're leading to turn 14, it is very easy to make a mistake on turn 14 because it is so high speed, and it's quite a fast corner as well. It looks like he nails it this time, though.
Where do we stand on penalties at the moment? There have been a few that have clocked up. I believe our lead two.
Have a look.
Yeah, I think Donoso has got himself a penalty. But yeah, if you could just double check where we stand at the current moment. And again, Donoso looks like he was trying. At one point, he said it was 1.5. But it's just gone up. That gap has increased ever so slightly to it was just over 2 seconds. Of course, that gap just increases and shrinks. And there is Graham Carroll's ghosted Red Bull. Alas, his technical difficulties have prevented him from continuing to take part in this race. What a great shame for his first race in this particular tier. So where do we stand penalty-wise then, Mr. Hamish?
I haven't been making a note of it, but I have quickly flicked through. In terms of the top 8, you have Donoso, Thornton, Carricks, and Max all have penalties. In fact, Formula Danny, no, it wasn't Formula Danny, it was someone who I forgot now. Marcel Kiefer. Marcel Kiefer suffered with a stop-go, which might explain why he... Oh, yeah, Marcel... he hasn't stopped, apparently. Oh, well, he has. He has stopped.
Yeah, I think he has.
He hasn't stopped. But he has stopped.
Yeah, that data I think is incorrect. I'm pretty sure Marcel Kiefer has stopped, or he's made those ultra softs last and in indescribable length of time. That's an amazing... That's amazing tyre preservation.
Oh, right. Just to correct you on back, Kodiak, he actually started on the ultras. He is now on the soft compound tyres.
That makes sense.
So, Marcel... so that might be why it's showing him as not stopping because of the tyre bug glitch in-game.
Could be. But look at this, Donoso gets his name on the penalty board again. Here is Veloci Formula Danny. He's now within half a second of Carricks. This is the 6th position, and Carricks is within DRS range of Marcel Kiefer. So at this rate, Formula Danny could look to claim 2 positions in one fell swoop. If he gets a decent run, a little bit deep there into turn 3, but nothing too drastic. Formula Danny is on an absolute charge at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Donoso, he seems to be getting these unnecessary penalties. I mean, obviously, he wants to contend for the race win. However, he's got a 4-second gap behind him. He doesn't need to push like crazy. He can lose half a tenth a lap or a tenth a lap and just make sure the car is always within the limits. We very rarely see Brendan Lee, for example, accumulate penalties because of how he drives. But Donoso, we noticed last season, he sometimes got a little bit too greedy with track limits, but his driving on the whole does seem very clean. It's just the occasional few mistakes he's been making.
We just saw Veloci Danny make a fairly easy pass on Carricks. Whether Carricks made a mistake coming out of turn 10 or whether he allowed the champion through, only he will know. But it was a fairly simple pass for the Sauber on the Ferrari. Such a strange sentence to actually say in Formula 1 terms. But already Formula Danny is chasing off after Marcel Kiefer, already down to half a second that particular gap now, as Carl Hamilton gets his name on the penalty board. So as Marcel Kiefer has confirmed by Hamish earlier, he is on the soft tyres. Again, a little bit slow coming through 3, but Formula Danny, what incredible focus he's got to just keep that pressure on and keep the momentum going, but it's how long those tyres are realistically going to last for. So every car ahead of him is at least 2 seconds from the one in front of it, so he'll have a lot of chasing down to do in the remaining 11 laps to catch anybody else.
Absolutely. One thing I've just noticed, which I think is hopefully quite an exciting prospect for the constructors side, for any of you who are interested in that, it looks like we've got a Merc-Sauber battle at the moment. We have last year's champion Formula Danny and Thornton, who I don't know too much about in the Sauber car, and then we have Tim, who was placed, he was P3 last season in the championship, and Brendan Lee, who won esports in the Mercedes pairing. So this should be a very exciting team battle right to the end, and will that cause any friction within the team, because you have to say that how the drivers are performing currently, they're all going to be in the championship battle at the end of the race, and it looks like Donoso has came into the pit for ultra soft compound tyres.
That I didn't expect.
Well, no, he's got 6 seconds of penalty.
So he's going
to want to really maximise what he can do now. There wasn't a front wing change, so that just seems a bit odd, really.
Well, unless he was just not happy with those soft tyres. These tyres do behave very differently. It sounds a little bit of an obvious statement, but each driver's style is unique to themselves, so they are going to prefer some tyres over others. It could be that he was just not getting on with those soft tyres. That does drop Donoso out of the points for now, but still plenty of time to go. We're looking at Brendan Lee. He now has a 6.7 gap over his teammate. There it is ACR Tim coming through that 11-12 section himself. He's on soft tyres, not the ultra soft as that image initially showed. And Photon, unfortunately, again getting his name on. Oh, Veloci Dunedin. He's done his 17th. We just saw the Sauber very, very sideways there. As the Veloci pair now coming through the last few turns. Formula Danny had a decent ringside seat to see his teammate fight that one, but managed to keep that one in check.
Exciting battle currently, Kodiak, is Wycombe's Marek, the McLaren versus the Renault. These drivers know each other from last season, although Wycombe's wasn't here at the end. He certainly was at the beginning, Carl Hamilton, with another penalty. Wycombe's has DRS. Is he going to look move in turn 1? No, he is going to probably use a second dose of DRS into turn 3 if he gets a good exit. They've both got good exits, so Wycombe's with the DRS. It looks like he might be running lower downforce around the outside of Marek, and Marek sort of pushes him wide. Wycombe's can't really get the turn he wanted on that particular corner, but it does look like Wycombe's has the upper hand at the moment. He's all over the back of the Renault.
Indeed. That was I think Wycombe's was closing in a little bit too quickly on the Renault there. Quicker than he was possibly anticipating, and nearly ran into the back of the diffuser. Lovely helicam shot we have here. And there's a surprise out of nowhere is Fabrizio Donoso. He's on those brand new Ultrasoft tyres. He's going to have a look at the McLaren before he even gets to turn 11 at this rate. He had a look at the mirrors. Again, no particular braking zone there, so didn't opt to try and push his luck. But he is almost pushing that McLaren down the road. Is he going to jump out before he gets to the next turn? Yes, he does. Wow. He gets the McLaren. I did wonder whether he was going to try and get the Renault at the same time. He opted not to. He gets ahead of Wycombe's. But of course, we know that there's a few penalties to serve for Donoso. We've got a problem in Sector 2. We don't know who that is.
It looks like
it's Raven.
It's a Raven, yeah. So he's had a spin in turn 9.
And Carl Hamilton as well. No,
I think they might have collided, Kodiak.
And he has opted to retire. He was struggling to get his car back pointed the right way.
Look at Donoso. He's going past round Marek on the inside of turn 3. That was a solid move. Very easy, to be honest, on those ultra soft compound tyres. I was going to allude.
Sorry about that, Hamish. Marek got very. He hit the. He hit the curbing and just got the car all unsettled and bounced off the wall. He's no obvious damage to the car, but again, that puts Wycombe's all over his case once again. And blimey, as Donoso has sprinted off, he's making the most out of those ultra soft tyres. As we have got, we've got 7 laps left to go. Donoso's got 2.2 to close down to non-runner for any further positions. But goodness me, Formula Danny looking to deny the podium from his teammate. That incredible pace that he's been showing. I would be surprised if we saw any more pit stops, or particularly from the top 2. So again, it does beg the question on why Donoso opted to make the pit stop when he did. That was a big save there by Formula Danny, getting a little bit crossed up on the exit of the final turn, but keeps it out of the wall and keeps his impressive charge going.
Yeah, someone in chat has just commented, you swear the commentators are talking nonsense. Absolutely. That is 100% accurate. We don't talk anything about what's actually going on. We just make it up as we go along. That's why we are so good. I was going to say earlier, Donoso is going to be very aggressive now. He's got these two lots of penalties, 6 seconds of penalties. He's got pretty much nothing to lose, because if he isn't 100% committed to every single position and lap he does now, he's going to finish outside the point, so he may as well be. Steve, wow, nice lap. 22.9.
22.9, very nice on the ultra soft tyres. The Saubers have swapped round. Formula Danny has got past his teammates. I would imagine there was possibly a bit of team orders going on there from the Sauber pair. We also saw Wycombe's and Marek swap position, and Marek hasn't given up on that one. Oh no! Is that non-runner that we just saw into the wall? No, it's Marek! Marek, again, he's been struggling with traction, it seems, in the Renault for a while, and he is now fallen out of the points positions. He's got VP Steve, we've just seen get the fastest lap, and he's going very, very slowly in the Renault, so he has got a problem.
Hang on, what's happened to Wycombe's? Wycombe's has stopped.
What has Wycombe?
He's waiting for Marek, surely.
Yeah.
Is he?
Good spot.
Does he speed up?
Yes, he does.
He does indeed. So we can only assume by that Wycombe's obviously feels whatever happens, was at fault for that. It's such a shame. They were looking in a pretty strong position. Oh, they're both coming into pits. That's their race over now.
What
I'm
a
afraid
shame.
that has promoted Bono, who is up to P10, and that's also given Donoso a potential chance of points. And yes, were you looking at the non-runner?
Yes.
Yes. That was looking quite close. I'm not sure if that was Donoso making a move on non-runner at that point or not.
Yeah, so it was indeed the Haas getting past non-runner. So it was a pretty clean move there by Donoso. And exactly as you say, if Donoso is able to get down the road far enough to cancel out his penalties, of course, that Steve being 23 seconds off the point, I would safely say that Donoso could well actually be in the points at the end of this race, but hopefully he will be able to get to the end of the race for that one so that he can actually score. Let's see who else we can find. Carrick has been pressuring Marcel Kiefer, and again, just we cut to the Ferrari veteran. He's overcut the throttle just a little bit, but he has been pressuring Marcel Kiefer for quite some time.
Yeah, so they both have, Marcel Kiefer has 6 seconds of penalties, Carrick has 3 seconds of penalties. So he is in a net P5, but obviously neither of the drivers know what their situation is. If you're a driver and you ask your race director to tell you what the status about that driver is in terms of penalties, I thought he was looking for a move there, he didn't. They will just say the driver in front or the driver behind has a penalty. They won't be specific. They won't tell you how many penalties. So you can only assume that the drivers will think that they both have a penalty each if they've listened to the race director.
And just picking up on something that's been said in chat, there was a mistake I made earlier. I said a 20 race calendar. I'm still thinking F1 2017 terms. Yes, you are correct. For next season, it will be a 21 race calendar. Of course, we do the full assortment of tracks for the first season of any given game. Of course, season 16 is what we're referring to. So apologies for that slight bit of confusion. I was just cutting to Donoso as he's gained another position. He really is wringing the neck out of that Haas at the moment. And with under 5 laps to go, he's closing onto the back of Carrick. Oops, as Max gets a little bit squirrely there, as we just saw in the background of the shot. So Donoso really is showing some really impressive form. It was a shame we didn't get to see a lot of this last season. We saw flashes of it, but sadly, bad luck and really kept striking him, and we didn't see this kind of real solid pace he's been showing for quite a lot of this race. He obviously didn't get on with those soft tyres, and he has been really showing what he's made of on those ultra softs. It looks like he's shaping up the Ferrari then, coming down towards turn 3. He's going to have a look at the inside. He is. Ooh, that was a little bit too late. Very wisely bound out of that one. Hopefully he's still got some life left in those ultra softs to press on for that 6th position.
Yeah, hopefully. Donoso as well. A pit stop round here is about 21 seconds. So bearing in mind, is he going to try a move into 9? No, he isn't. So bearing in mind he's been overtaking and in traffic. Wow, what an exit. He's actually gained on Brendan Lee a considerable amount of time on those ultra soft tyres, and Brendan Lee is considered, but amongst a lot of the drivers and people watching, one of the top drivers in the world at the moment, and he made a move stick on Carrots. surprisingly easy. Didn't look like that was too difficult for Donoso. He's now got Marek. Now, I just want to check how many penalties Donoso has, because if he has 6 seconds of penalty, then he is in a pretty decent position. 1, 2. He has 6 seconds of penalty. 6 seconds of penalties. So that is the same as Marek. So potentially we could be seeing Donoso in a P5 position.
Ah, absolutely. Yeah, good job. Like I said before, he's been making the most out of those very soft tires. Again, another penalty on the board for Valetti Dorniden. It's not going his way, but again, that's something we saw last season as well. Some tracks just suit some drivers better than others. So hopefully we'll see the drivers. And first race of the season, some people get a little bit more nervous under that kind of pressure. It looks like the top 4 have kind of settled down a bit now. Their gaps have kind of stabilised. Brendan Lee 6.5 seconds ahead of Tim. So the Mercedes pair out there enjoying the lead to themselves. Then it's the Sauber pair of Formula Danny and Photon, 3rd and 4th. But this particular battle rages on. Marcel Kiefer in the Force India fending off the charging Fabrizio Donoso. As we are running out of laps, Carrix is hanging on in there as well. Again, Donoso having a look. I don't think it was really enough braking zone left there for turn 13, but he had a look anyway, and he's making his car very, very wide in the mirrors of the Force India.
Absolutely, that's what he needs to do. He needs to make Marcel Kiefer worried about his aggressive driving style and his speed, and he's doing a good job of that. It'll be interesting if the 2 drivers know about each other's penalties. Occasionally the drivers do say things over Discord, although you like to keep your cards close to your chest. And he's trying a move. There's no contact. It's clean so far. Is he going to try it around the outside? He's going to have a switchback, a good run off turn 4. And he's on the grass. So easy to spin, and it looks like Carrix has just put in for a wall. He literally just got onto the grass and stuffed it in the wall.
He got completely. I think he saw Donoso go a bit wide. He went.
VP Max Kodiak.
VP Max is right behind him. The
side by side
with non-runner. Yeah, unfortunately the camera that we got sadly didn't quite show that particular moment. As Steve and Wycombe's are side by side as well at exactly the same point. I think Carrix just got caught out by Donoso slightly running onto the grass, and Donoso's actually lost a bit of time on Marcel Kiefer as well. There's only 1 and a bit laps remaining of this race, so he's going to have to chase down the Force India once again. He may well have burnt the best out of those tyres, but if anybody can do it, we've certainly seen how well Donoso can do it. Just in the background there is VP Max and non-runner continuing their push for 7th position.
He's got a good exit. He's got a really good exit, has non-runner in the Red Bull. Is he going to try and move around the outside of turn 1? It's really risky, and he can't quite make it stick. He should get a decent exit as well for the line he took, and he has, but I don't think it's going to quite be enough for 3. He's braking so late. And they're side by side, still side by side.
Goodness me!
Side by side, Verena on the inside of Max. And wow, nice move by non-runner. He should be thoroughly pleased with how both of those drivers perform exquisite racecraft.
There was not a single bit of contact between the pair of them when they went through that. That was very, very well played by the pair of them. Donoso is back on Marcel Kiefer's case. Has not got long left. Let's just double check where our leader is. There is Brendan Lee. 7 seconds now back to his teammate as he comes around the last few turns. Brendan Lee looking to go on as he intends, start as he intends to go on rather. But here he is, the winner of the opening round of this season. It is Brendan Lee in the Mercedes with a completely flawless run. Here is his teammate. What a start for the Mercedes pair. 1 and 2. Tim is happy with that as he comes along to secure the 2nd position spot. Our champion for Veloci Formula Danny is in 3rd. Then Photon 4. Let's jump back to Marcel Kiefer. There he is. And Donoso crosses the line in 6th position. Of course, the penalties will apply as they cross the line. Non-runner remains in 7th, VP Max 8, and there is actually Bono Hewis. We didn't really see him for a while. He's crossed the line in 9th, and Wycombe's on his return to this season is looking like, I say this season,
he made that strange pit stop as well, if you remember.
He did. He did indeed.
Not bad at all. And then Steve in P11. That is assuming Wycombs doesn't get demoted by penalties. No, he doesn't. Failer coming in P12. Raven, he's going to be so disappointed with P13. He's a super quick driver. Aresti, P14 with Marek closely-ish following him in P15. And then I'm struggling with this name, Kenny.
Dorneden.
Dorneden in
he's lost
road
without a front wing as well. So again, it's been rather dramatic then for a first race. Oh dear, that car is not really driving quite straight. Oh, there's a puncture on the rear left. That's why. So he's making his. I mean, I'm all up for drivers adding challenge to a race, but this is a little extreme. He's limping home. All credit
it's
to
nothing worse. Absolutely nothing worse. When you've had a bad race, the absolute worst thing is to have a puncture on the last lap and have to do a whole lap. Bearing in mind, we've got quite a few people watching him, so he's going to be very embarrassed. But he comes home in P16. It's all learning for these guys at the moment, and I'm sure he didn't put his best. Dormeden didn't put his best performance in today either. What a race, though! A lot of action.
What a race! And if the season's if this is a foretell for how the season's going to go, then we are in for an amazing one. There we go. Then the two Mercedes drivers taking the top two spots. I'd imagine Brendan's going to be pretty happy with that. I imagine Tim's going to be pretty happy with that.
We can talk to them both. They are in the interview panel.
Fabulous.
People in chat are asking Kodiak, driver of the day for you.
Oh, that's tricky. Depending on kind of where your expectation lies against how people actually behaved, it's performed rather. It's kind of tricky to. Brendan Lee, of course, dominant win. Yeah, that would be a kind of easy one to put on there.
I would say Donoso for his second half performance was very, very strong indeed. I think non-runner, he did quite well as well. He started P10 up to P7, not bad from him. Danny again P8 to P3, not bad at all. Marcel Kiefer 9 to 5th. That is very solid. And you have Bono Huis started P17, got up to P9. So there's a lot of jumping around of positions, and we didn't get many retirements. In fact, we got 2 retirements, I think. So
indeed,
but it's some pretty good driving.
Let's get our drivers in then. Let's grab them over. I usually interrupt the conversation when I pull them over, and lo and behold, I did again. Apologies, gentlemen. Unfortunately, I can't warn you when I'm about to drag you into the commentary box. First of all, thank you very much for putting on such an incredible show. Let us go over to our race winner, Brendan Lee. First of all, what a start to the season. It looked like you had to fight quite hard to keep Donoso behind you at the beginning, and then you settled into the rhythm that we're used to seeing you slowly stretch away into the distance. How was that one for you?
Like you said at the start, it was extremely stressful because Donoso was just on it on the first stint, and he was pushing me so hard. On lap 1, at the end of the first sector, I was like, okay, I can break DRS now. And I looked behind me on lap 3 and it was still there. I was like, go away, I just want this win. I want it to be easy, but he just didn't make it easy at all.
No, indeed. It's always difficult for us to tell whether you guys are kind of pushing like 80% with a little bit in reserve. But it really did look like, even for yourself, it looked quite a struggle. And there was a lot of battles going on for quite a considerable length of time. But so that sort of second stint was more you managing your pace, managing your tyres, or did it all kind of go to plan exactly as you thought it would?
Yeah, at the start, I was playing a bit of mind games with him. So I was saving a lot of tyres at the start of the stint and trying to get him to close up and burn his tyres, and obviously it worked because he went to a 2-stop strategy while I stayed out on my 1-stop, so that worked. And you could see at the end I still had plenty of tyres to push, so throughout all the stint I was just saving tyres, and it paid off in the end.
Brilliant stuff. Right, next in line is the second Mercedes, Timp. What a good start for you, getting onto the podium on your first time out. How was that one for you?
Yeah, I mean, second P2 on the Melbourne in a row now. Last season I was second as well. But yeah, I mean, I knew that I can gain this position, at least one position in start, and I did that from Photon. Yeah, and then I tried to keep up with Fabrizio and Brendo, but those two are just so fast. I had like no chance in there. And then Brendon pitted. I wanted to pit lap when Brendon did, but then I had to do one more extra lap. But it was all right. But yeah, I lost like second to Fabrizio then. But yeah, I mean after that, when I saw the gap to Fabrizio, I just tried to like maintain the gap to Photon and just maintain my P3 because yeah, I mean I'm happy with. I would have been happy with podium and yeah. And then on the end, like I was just chilling on the like. Actually, there was like Fabrizio just dropped. I don't know. He just pitted or something like that. Then after that, I just like was so relieved that because Jeff told me that Photon have the penalty, so yeah, it was big relief for me as well. And in the end, I had a big pressure from Danny because I had 2 warnings already, and Danny didn't have penalties. I actually had one, but yeah, I had big pressure in the end. But yeah. Mercedes 1-2, really happy with the start of the season. Yeah.
Excellent stuff. Right. I want to have a quick chat with Mr. Donoso. It's the first time I believe we've had you in the box with us. What a recovery drive from yourself.
Yeah.
How was that one for you against... Did you kind of expect to be right at the front and then have to make a recovery drive? Where was your expectation for this one?
Yeah, first of all, good evening, guys. Well, I hoped since the beginning of the first stint of quali to be at the front. Then I was confident in my pace, and the first few laps with Brandon were quite similar. Even with the softs, the lap times were very similar. Then I thought that the two-stop was better, but obviously at the end P6. So yeah, quite disappointing. But pace is there, and I broke the bad luck that I had last season. So yeah.
Yeah, you had quite a lot of bad luck. We saw some great sort of flashes of performance, but it was good to see that you were able to actually translate that into a decent haul of points this time around. Good to see. Moving swiftly along, as quite a few people still to talk to and not a lot of time left. Our champion, Formula Danny, third on your first race out in the new team. Where did you kind of think you were going to be looking at the field we're facing this season? And what a field we have, let's be honest. Where was your expectation on where you would be today?
Hello guys, again, it's been a month since we last saw each other. When we started the season, so basically today, I decided that whenever I finish in the top 5, I will be happy. Because nowadays, unfortunately, I need to study a lot in school and I can't practice as much as last year, and this field is extremely strong, so I can't really afford that. So anytime if I am in the top 5, I am really happy. I had an amazing race today. Some player defended against me, some player didn't really. But it was a very risky thing for me to try the Ultra Soft Super Soft strategy, because I have never ever tried it and I have never ever dreamt about it at all. But I was in P8, it's like 4 points, and P9 and P10 was quite close behind me at the first stint, but there was a huge gap. So I thought if I take that risk, I use 3 points at maximum. So I took the risk, and it came to a good way for me. In the qualifying, I had a 2 purple sectors, and after in the last sector I went to the grass and spun, so totally lost my lap. I have never done anything like that, but I was not happy that time. But it was a great recovery, and congratulations to Brandon, congratulations to all the new pilots here, and congratulations to my teammate from F2. He did an amazing job to finish in P4.
He certainly did. And finally, we've got Marcel Kiefer in with us as well. Welcome to you. What an interesting start for the season for you. How was that one for you?
Disappointing because, I didn't have too much practice the last few days. I just started practicing last night because I had an injury, and now I needed to get used to my new equipment. But apart from that, the pace was okay. but I messed up my race by sliding into the pits too fast, and then I got a 5-second time penalty, and afterwards my concentration was just sometimes on, sometimes it was gone, and yeah, I also messed up the quali. It wasn't the best race. I enjoyed the battle with Fabrizio at the end. I was also kind of scared because I had already 79% of tire wear on the rear tires, and yeah, I didn't know how long they would last. But anyways, it was a good start to the season. The penalties ruined it for me, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the next race.
Excellent. We always wondered how last season would have gone if you guys were with us at the beginning. We had a few driver changes throughout last season. Of course, you mighty drivers are with us from the beginning, so it's going to be a wonderful season to watch. That just leaves me to thank those of you that have been with us throughout the stream. It's a great pleasure to talk to you guys as we are going through this, of course. Thank you to Hamish too for being in the commentary box with me. Always a great pleasure.
Yeah, my pleasure. Fantastic race. Thank you guys for providing some real top quality racing today. So good job.
Thank you very much to our title sponsor, Hype Energy, of course, for being with us. And we will see you back here for more